This is an emergency broadcast from Civil Protection Services. My name is David Silver, Disaster Response Coordinator for the Greater Metropolitan Area. I am issuing a mandatory citywide curfew effective immediately. All citizens must remain indoors until further notice. I repeat, this is not a drill. You must remain indoors. The tremors began 3 days ago. Small at first, barely noticeable. The kind you might attribute to a passing truck or construction work down the block. The Geological Survey team assured us it was nothing to be concerned about. Minor seismic activity common for our region this time of year. But they were wrong. By yesterday morning, the tremors had intensified. The subway system was the first to report issues. Unusual vibrations through the tunnels, stronger than anything recorded before. Then came reports from the water treatment facility. Workers described sounds coming from deep within the drainage systems. Not the normal flow and echo of water through pipes, but something different, something moving. I'm speaking to you now in a hushed tone because we've learned, the hard way, that volume attracts them. Whatever they are, 4 utility workers descended into the eastern junction of the sewer system at 9 this morning. Standard procedure following the tremors, checking for structural damage, potential gas leaks. Only one made it back to the surface. Before he died from his injuries, he described what happened below. He said the team had reached the main junction when the ground beneath them simply opened up. Not a collapse, not an earthquake. It was as if something pushed through from below, breaking through the concrete like it was nothing more than a thin crust of ice. The surviving worker described creatures emerging from the darkness. He couldn't see them clearly. The emergency lights had failed, but he felt them moving past him, around him, brushing against him in the darkness as they climbed toward the surface. He said they moved like insects, but bigger, much bigger. The sound of their movement was like thousands of fingernails scraping against stone. 3 of his teammates weren't as fortunate as he was. They panicked, they shouted, they ran, and that was their mistake. The creatures found them instantly, humming in on the noise. The survivor only escaped because he remained perfectly still, pressed against the tunnel wall, holding his breath until the feeding frenzy ended. He said it was the sound that drew them. Only the sound. I'm getting reports now from across the city. Similar ruptures have been discovered in subway tunnels, parking garages, basement levels of high-rises. Animal control reported mass exodus of rats, stray cats, even insects fleeing from below ground in the hours before the first confirmed incident. Hold on. I'm receiving an update. There's been another incident. 14th Street and Park Avenue. A taxi driver honked his horn during a traffic backup. Witnesses report that within seconds, the pavement around his vehicle erupted. The creature swarmed his car, tore through the metal like it was paper. I'm told there wasn't enough left of him to identify. These things, they're blind. That much we've confirmed. Multiple encounters reported by survivors describe them as having no visible eyes, just smooth, pale skin where eyes should be. But their hearing, their sensitivity to vibration, it's beyond anything we've encountered before. A whisper can draw them from hundreds of feet away. A footstep, even your heartbeat if they're close enough. I'm looking at security footage from the downtown shopping district. The creatures they're unlike anything I've seen before. Pale, hunched forms, 6 limbs, no, 8, moving in jerky, uncoordinated motions until they detect sound. Then they move with terrifying precision, converging on the source like a swarm. We've been instructed to broadcast some guidelines for survival until military assistance arrives. First, remain absolutely quiet. Speak only when necessary, and when you do, keep your voice as low as possible. Whisper if you must communicate. Second, turn off anything that makes noise. Phones should be on silent. Unplug appliances that might cycle on automatically. Refrigerators, air conditioners, furnaces. If you must use electronic devices, use headphones at the lowest possible volume. Third, move slowly. Any sudden motion that creates sound, footstep that's too heavy, brushing against furniture, dropping an object, could attract them. Fourth, wait, just a moment. There's something outside the station, I can hear it, a soft, scraping sound against the exterior wall. We've sealed all entrances as per emergency protocol, but these things, the reports suggest they can break through almost any barrier if they detect sound on the other side. I need to continue. I need to provide you with this information. The creatures appear most active during nighttime hours. We don't know if this is due to their biology or simply because the city is quieter at night, making isolated sounds easier for them to detect. Daylight doesn't seem to harm them, but they do seem to prefer darkness. Calls are coming in from all districts now. These things are spreading rapidly through the underground infrastructure. Sewers, subway tunnels, utility conduits. They're emerging wherever they detect concentrations of sound. One caller reported seeing them flow like water through the streets of the financial district after a car alarm was triggered. Another described them climbing the exterior of an apartment building, converging on a unit where music was playing. The most disturbing report came from the hospital center. A patient on life support. The rhythmic sound of the ventilator drew them. They swarmed through the ventilation system. The entire ICU was... I can't even describe it. The hospital is now implementing strict noise reduction protocols. I've just been handed a note from our technician. They're picking up unusual vibrations through the building's foundation. Something's moving beneath us. The scientists, what's left of our research team, have a theory. These creatures may have evolved in deep subterranean ecosystems, perhaps miles below the surface. The tremors we experienced weren't natural seismic events. They were these things burrowing upward, responding to the constant noise of our city above. They hunt as a collective. They communicate through subtle vibrations imperceptible to human ears, and they're learning our patterns rapidly. Last hour, a family of 4 attempt to escape the city by car. They made it 3 blocks before the engine noise drew a swarm. The street simply erupted around them. Witnesses from nearby buildings reported that the pavement split open and the creatures poured out like a flood. The car disappeared into the mass within seconds. The military has established a perimeter around the city. No one in, no one out. They're attempting to implement sound, dampening measures before sending in specialized units. But it could be days before they're ready. We're on our own until then. Wait, did you hear that? There it is again. A faint tapping sound, like fingernails on glass. It's coming from the window. Don't look, don't make a sound. That's what all the reports say. If you acknowledge them, if you react, they know exactly where you are. I'm receiving whispered calls from across the city now. People huddled in closets, under beds, in basements. Families communicating through handwritten notes. Children being taught to hold their breath when the scratching starts at their doors. One caller says she watched her neighbor taken. He was sleeping. Just sleeping. But he snored. That was enough. They came through his bedroom window without breaking the glass. Just flowed around it somehow. She said they moved like a single organism, spreading across his bed like a stain. I need to warn you about another development. These creatures, they're not just sensitive to sound, they're learning to create it. Multiple reports describe them mimicking human voices, cell phone ringtones, even the sound of a crying baby. Don't be fooled, respond. Don't investigate unusual sounds. The most recent theory from what remains of our scientific community suggests these things may have evolved as parasites, using sound to locate host organisms. But in our environment, with our technology, our vehicles, our constant noise, we've created a feeding ground beyond their wildest evolution. The hardest thing to accept is how quickly this is happening. 12 hours ago, life was normal. Now we're whispering into microphones, afraid of the sound of our own breathing. Another note from my technician. They've spotted movement in the parking lot. Dark shapes moving between vehicles, converging on our building. I'm going to continue broadcasting as long as I can. Information is your best chance for survival now. Stay hidden. Wait for. What was that? There's a sound coming from the ventilation system now. A soft scraping. Getting closer. The latest reports indicate the creatures become more aggressive after feeding. More coordinated. The swarms grow larger, more organized. They're learning the layout of our city with frightening speed. I'm looking at a thermal imaging feed from a helicopter above downtown. The creatures show up as cold spots, significantly below ambient temperature. They're everywhere, moving through streets, alleys, buildings, converging on any source of sound. The feed just showed an apartment building on 12th Street. Someone must have made a noise. A toilet flushing, perhaps, or a door closing too loudly. The cold spots swarm the building from all directions, flowing up the exterior walls like water flowing uphill. Squeezing through cracks around windows, air vents under doors. I can't show you this footage. I can only describe it, and pray you understand the gravity of our situation. The scraping in the vents is getting louder now. Closer. My technician is pointing up at the ceiling tiles. They're vibrating slightly. I need to end this transmission soon. My voice, even as quiet as I'm keeping it, may be drawing them to us. But you need to know what we're facing. You need to understand. One last report before I go silent. A research team managed to capture one of the smaller creatures. Initial analysis shows they have no eyes as suspected, but their entire epidermis, their skin, functions as one massive eardrum. They don't just hear sound, they feel it through their entire body. So hungry. I can hear it now. Right above me, the ceiling tile is beginning to bulge downward. Remember, no sound, no movement. Hide. Wait for help. This will be my final broadcast until it's safe again. May God help us all. Wait, was that? This is David Silver, resuming emergency broadcast. It's been 6 hours since my last transmission. If you're hearing this, you've survived the night. But please, keep your volume at the lowest possible setting. They're still out there. They're everywhere now. I apologize for cutting the previous broadcast short. The creature had been moving through our ventilation system. It breached the ceiling directly above our sound booth. We escaped through the emergency exit, moving as silently as possible. 2 of our station staff didn't make it. I won't describe what happened to them. I can't. I'm now broadcasting from the emergency management bunker beneath City Hall. It's reinforced concrete, 20 feet underground. Sound dampened. For now we're safe, but I don't know how long that will last. These things they're learning, adapting, finding new ways to reach us. Updated emergency guidance is as follows. Do not speak, not even in whispers if you can avoid it. Use written notes, hand signals, anything but vocal communication. We've confirmed that these creatures can detect a whisper from up to 100 feet away, even through walls. Disconnect all electronic devices that could produce sound. Unplug them completely. Don't rely on power switches or mute buttons. The smallest electronic hum can draw them. Pad your footsteps. Wear socks, not hard-soled shoes. Walk heel to toe, placing your weight gradually. Avoid wooden floors that might creak. If possible, crawl rather than walk. Cover your mouth if you need to cough or sneeze. Have a pillow or thick blanket ready at all times for this purpose. One survivor reported watching an entire family taken after their child sneezed. The military has attempted 2 rescue operations in the downtown core. Both failed. The helicopters, the noise of their rotors, created a feeding frenzy unlike anything we've seen. The creature swarmed upward hundreds of feet into the air. They pulled the aircraft down. I'm receiving reports now from the scattered pockets of survivors throughout the city. A man in the Eastern District watched from his apartment as a stray dog barked at something in the shadows. Within seconds, the pavement around the animal split open. The creatures erupted from below like a geyser, a writhing mass of pale limbs and bodies. The dog's barking stopped mid-yawl. A nurse at Memorial Hospital describes how they've implemented a new protocol for the maternity ward. Newborns are immediately swaddled with sound-dampening materials. Mothers are given written instructions not to comfort crying infants verbally. Only touch, only warmth. The thought of what might happen otherwise is unbearable. A family in the suburbs survived by flooding their basement with 2 inches of water. The liquid seems to dampen vibrations enough to mask their movements, but the water will run out eventually. The pipes make too much noise to refill. Most disturbing are the reports from high-rise buildings. The creatures can climb. They move up exterior walls with terrifying speed, following the trail of sound like sharks following blood in water. One witness described watching them flow upward past her 23rd floor window, converging on an apartment above where someone had dropped a glass. We've observed a pattern in their behavior. They hunt actively for approximately 4 hours, then retreat below ground for 2 to 3 hours. We don't know if they're resting, feeding, or perhaps returning to some central nest. But these quiet periods offer our only chance to move, to find better shelter, to gather supplies. The next quiet period is estimated to begin in 50 minutes. If you must relocate, that will be your window. But move silently, move slowly, and be in your new shelter before they return. I have a report here from a military scout. They've managed to capture thermal imaging of what appears to be the creature's central nest. It's directly beneath the city center, approximately 800 feet below the surface. The images show a vast chamber, hundreds of yards across, filled with thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, of the creatures, and something else, something larger at the center. The scouts' transmission cut off before they could provide more details. The working theory is that these creatures operate like a colony, drones that feed and gather resources for something else. Something worse. Wait, I'm getting an urgent message. A group of survivors was discovered in the subway tunnels. They'd found a maintenance room, sealed themselves inside. They were using an old service radio to try to contact emergency services. The radio had a faulty speaker. It produced a high-pitched whine, just at the edge of human hearing. They didn't know. They couldn't have known. The creatures came through the concrete floor, through solid concrete, just emerged from it somehow, like it was liquid to them. None of the survivors made it out. I need to warn you about another development. We've confirmed that the creatures are not only attracted to sound, they're beginning to use it as a lure. Multiple reports describe hearing familiar sounds, a loved one's voice, a ringing phone, a television program, coming from dark rooms or around corners. When investigated, there's nothing human there. Only them, waiting. Don't trust unexpected sounds. Don't investigate, no matter how familiar or urgent they seem. We've also noted that they're becoming more aggressive with electronic devices. Anything that produces electromagnetic fields seems to irritate them. One survivor reported watching a creature through 6 walls to reach a smartwatch that was in silent mode but still powered on. If you have access to natural materials for insulation, soil, sand, even water, use them. Create navigate barriers. The creatures seem less adept at detecting sound through these elements. Hold on. There's something happening here in the bunker. The lights just flickered. Our backup generator is making a strange noise. Not loud, but wrong somehow. Unevin, the technician, is going to check it out. While we wait, I'll continue with the updated guidance. If you're in a group, establish a clear chain of communication using only visual signals. Designate a lookout, someone to watch for approaching threats while others sleep or rest. Sleep in shifts. The creatures are most active during the night hours, but they never truly stop hunting. We've received confirmation that rural areas are experiencing fewer encounters. Population density seems directly correlated to creature activity. If you have a viable path to leave the city without using vehicles, consider it during the next quiet period. But remember, any mechanical sound will draw them instantly. That means no cars, no motorcycles, nothing with an engine. The technician hasn't returned from checking the generator. It's been 7 minutes. The noise from the generator is getting worse, more irregular, like something is interfering with it. I'm going to send someone to check on. No one else leaves this room. I can hear something in the corridor now. A soft, wet sound, like something dragging itself across the floor, getting closer to our broadcasting room. Stay focused. I need to give you this information while I still can. We've discovered something important about the creature's physiology. They don't just hear sound. They feel vibrations through any medium they're in contact with. If they're touching a building's foundation, they can feel footsteps throughout the entire structure. This means nowhere is truly safe if they're already inside your shelter. But there's a vulnerability. Their sensitivity to vibration works both ways. Very loud, sudden noises seem to disorient them temporarily, like an overwhelming sensory input. Several survivors have reported successfully escaping by creating a loud noise in one location, then fleeing in the opposite direction while the creatures were stunned. It's a desperate measure, to be used only as a last resort. The noise will eventually draw them back, more aggressive than before. The dragging sound in the corridor has stopped, but now there's a new sound, a tapping on the door to the broadcast room. Not loud, just a gentle, almost polite tapping, like someone asking to be let in. But there's no one out there. No one is human. I need to stay calm. I need to keep providing you with information. The military has established a safe zone 50 miles north of the city. If you can reach it, they have sound-dampening shelters, supplies, medical facilities. But the journey is perilous. You'll need to travel at night, when ambient noise from nature helps mask your movements. Use soft-soled shoes or wrap your feet in cloth. Avoid roads. The creatures have learned that roads often lead to concentrations of humans. They patrol them constantly. The tapping has stopped. Now there's just breathing. Heavy, wet breathing on the other side of the door. The door is reinforced steel. It should hold. There's a small observation window in the door. The glass is 3 inches thick. I can see something moving on the other side. Just a shadow, shifting back and forth. Pacing, it knows we're in here. It can hear us, hear me, but I need to continue. You need this information. We've learned that water provides temporary protection. The creatures avoid crossing bodies of water deeper than a few inches. We don't know why. Perhaps it distorts their ability to sense a vibration. Several groups have reported successfully evading pursuit by wading through streams or drainage channels. The military is attempting to use this weakness against them. They're developing sonic weapons, devices that emit frequencies that might disorient or even harm the creatures. But deployment is still days away at best. Wait, the creature at the door. It's doing something strange. It's pressing itself against the observation window. I can see it clearly now. God help me. It has no features, just smooth, pale skin where a face should be. But the skin is moving, rippling, forming what looks like that a mouth. It's mimicking a human mouth, opening and closing, as if practicing the movement. And now it's making a sound, a terrible approximation of a human voice, like someone learning to speak for the first time. Let me in. It's not just making sound, it's mimicking language. They're learning, evolving. Help me. Please. Don't be fooled. Remember what I told you. They use familiar sounds as lures. The thing at the window is changing its strategy now. It's making a different sound. A child's voice. Mummy, I'm scared. I'm going to move away from the door. Continue the broadcast from the other side of the room. Speak more quietly. The latest intelligence suggests the creatures are spreading beyond our city. Similar reports are coming in from neighboring counties. Underground transit systems, sewer networks, natural cave systems. They're using these to travel undetected. The working theory is that once they've consumed all available prey in one area, they move on. Like locusts. A plague that harvests everything before continuing its migration. But there's hope. Researchers have identified a potential weakness. The creature's sensitivity to sound makes them vulnerable to certain frequencies. extremely high-pitched sounds beyond human hearing seem to cause them pain. Early tests suggest these frequencies might be used to create safe zones, areas where the creatures cannot enter without experiencing extreme distress. The problem is generating these frequencies requires power, and most of our power grid is down now. There's a new sound coming from the door, a scratching, like dozens of fingernails dragging slowly across metal. The sound it's getting into my head, making it hard to think. I need to focus. If you're in hiding, stay there. The creatures are most active now, but they'll retreat again soon. When they do, that's your chance to find better shelter, gather supplies, link up with other survivors if possible, but remain vigilant. They never truly leave. There are always sentinels, individuals left behind to listen. The scratching at the door has stopped, but now there's a new sound, a loud, rhythmic banging, like someone pounding a fist against metal. It's getting louder, more insistent. The door is starting to dent inward with each impact. The reinforced steel is buckling. We're activating Emergency Protocol Delta. There's a secondary broadcast location. If this bunker is compromised, transmission will automatically switch over, but it may take several minutes to establish a connection. In the meantime, I need to give you the most critical information for survival. These creatures hunt through sound, but they navigate through some other sense we don't understand. They can move through total darkness with perfect precision. They can find paths through solid matter, concrete, steel, even bedrock. Distance and barriers mean nothing to them. The only true defense is silence, complete, absolute silence. And if they find you, if you hear that soft scratching sound getting closer, your only hope is to create a louder noise elsewhere. A distraction. Something that will draw them away long enough for you to relocate. The pounding on the door is getting more violent now. The hinges are starting to separate from the frame. We don't have much time. Before I initiate Protocol Delta, one final piece of information. The military has established a broadcast frequency. If they deploy their sonic countermeasures, they'll announce it on this channel. 720 kilohertz on the AM band. Check it once per hour, but keep the volume as low as possible. Just enough to hear. The door is giving way. I can see pale limbs pushing through the widening gaps around the frame, long, jointed limbs, too many joints moving in ways that... This is the Emergency Broadcast System Beta, now online. Transmission continues from the secondary location. I don't know what happened to the team during the primary broadcast. Connection was lost approximately 40 seconds ago. All we received was screaming, then silence. I will continue to provide updates and survival guidance as long as possible. But for now, remember the core rule is make no sound. Trust no sound you hear. Move only during quiet periods. 720 kilohertz for military updates. This is David Silver, still live, still broadcasting. For now, I think there's something moving outside our facility. I can hear metal groaning, like something heavy is pressing against the exterior walls. They've found us too. Stay silent. Stay hidden. I'll transmit again when I can. God help us all. If you can hear this, if anyone is still listening, this is David Silver. I don't know how much time has passed since my last transmission. Hours maybe. The backup generator for this equipment is failing. The lights keep flickering. Each time they do, I see movement in the shadows. I'm not alone here. Our secondary broadcast facility has been compromised. Everyone else is gone. Taken. I barricaded myself in this storage closet with portable equipment. The door won't hold much longer. I need to keep my voice down, so low. They're right outside. The city has gone completely silent now. No cars, sirens, no helicopters overhead. Just the occasional distant scream, quickly silenced. I look out through a small ventilation duct and see empty streets, abandoned vehicles, doors left open where people fled in panic, and Mue's movement. Pale shapes flowing like liquid between buildings, climbing walls, disappearing into storm drains, emerging from cracks in the pavement. They're evolving faster than we could have imagined. The ones I see now are different from those that first emerged. Larger, more articulated limbs, and some have what look like rudimentary facial features, as if they're trying to mimic us, become more like their prey. I received one final transmission from military command before communications went dark. They've abandoned the containment strategy. The creatures have spread too far, too quickly. They've been detected in 7 neighboring cities, moving through underground infrastructure, using our own network of tunnels and pipes against us. The sonic weapon prototype failed. The creatures adapted within hours, developed some kind of membrane that shields them from the frequencies we thought would harm them. Each defense we create, they overcome. I've been compiling survival data from the scattered reports that came in before all other broadcasts ceased. I need to share what I've learned. It may be your only chance. The creatures hunt primarily through sound, but they've developed secondary methods of detection. They can sense body heat at close range. They can detect the carbon dioxide in your breath if you're within a few feet of them. Holding absolutely still is no longer enough. You need distance. You need barriers. Some survivors have reported success with improvised sound dampening rooms, lining walls with mattresses, blankets, soft materials that absorb vibration, shielding all gaps with wet towels, creating rooms within rooms, layers of insulation. Others have found temporary safety in water, submerging themselves in lakes, pools, even bathtubs. The water distorts sound waves, confuses the creature's senses, but you can't stay submerged indefinitely. And when you emerge, when that first droplet falls from your body and hits the ground, hear it. They'll come. I'm getting light-headed. The air in this closet is running out. But I need to continue. I need to tell you what I know. The creatures communicate with each other through subsonic vibrations, frequencies too low for human ears to detect. That's how they coordinate their swarms, how they share information about prey locations. It's why they seem to appear everywhere at once when they detect sound. They're calling to each other, sharing the feast. There's a theory. The last scientist I spoke with before communications failed, she believed the creatures aren't separate organisms at all. They're extensions of a single entity, a vast distributed consciousness that exists primarily beneath the surface. What we see, what hunts us, those are just its appendages, its feeding tentacles. The real creature, the mind that controls them, remains safely hidden beneath the earth. I hear scratching at the door now, gentle, almost curious, like something trying to understand what's keeping it from its prey. I've been thinking about what these things want. At first, I thought it was simple predation, hunger, but I'm not sure anymore. The way they've been evolving, adapting, learning our behaviors and even our language, it suggests something more. Something they're not just hunting us. They're studying us, replacing us. The latest reports before communications failed described creatures that looked almost human, moving through the streets during quiet periods, standing motionless in doorways, in alleys, watching, learning, their bodies shifting, changing, becoming more like us with each passing day. One survivor described seeing what she thought was her neighbor waving to her from across the street. She almost called out, almost made a sound. Then she saw its face ripple and shift, features sliding out of alignment. Not a perfect copy, not yet, but they're learning. The scratch at the door has become more insistent now, more deliberate. It knows I'm in here. It can hear my whispers, my breathing, maybe even my heartbeat. I need to tell you about the last safe zone. Before the military went dark, they established a final perimeter, a dam 50 miles north of the city. The running water creates a natural barrier the creatures won't cross. They fortified it, set up sonic perimeters, using what they've learned about the creature's weaknesses. If you can reach it, if anyone can reach it, there's still hope. But you'll need to travel silently. So silently, use the waterways if possible. Rivers, streams. The creatures avoid crossing water deeper than a few inches. We don't know why. Move during their dormant periods. Roughly 2 hours before dawn seems to be when they're least active. Wrap yourself in dampening materials. Wet cloth, foam, anything that absorbs sound. Cover your mouth, breathe through your nose. Each exhale should be controlled, released slowly against soft fabric to muffle any sound. And if you hear something, a voice calling your name, a cry for help, any sound that draws you toward it, ignore it. No matter how familiar, no matter how urgent it seems, it's not what you think, it's them. Hunting. The door is beginning to bend inward now, the metal frame warping under pressure. Not from impact, there's no sound of physical force. It's as if something is pushing through the molecular structure of the door itself, like the barrier between inside and outside is becoming permeable. I don't have much time left. Before I go, you need to know about what happened at the research facility on the edge of the city. They captured one of the larger specimens, attempted to communicate with it. They thought they were making progress. The creature seemed to be responding to simple commands, seemed to understand language. Then it escaped containment. But it didn't flee. It didn't attack. It went straight to the facility's communications room, started broadcasting signals, sounds that made no sense to human ears. It was calling more of its kind, or maybe reporting back to whatever controls them. The whole facility went silent 15 minutes later, everyone inside gone. The only transmission we received was a series of wet, clicking sounds, and beneath that, barely audible human screams. Whatever these things are, wherever they came from, they're not just predators, they're an invasion. The door is starting to dissolve. There's no other word for it. The metal is becoming translucent. I can see shapes moving on the other side. Patient. One last piece of information. The creatures appear to operate on some kind of hive consciousness. Kill one, and the others know instantly. They become more aggressive, more coordinated in their hunting. But this connection works both ways. Information spreads through their network like ripples in water. If you find a way to harm them, truly harm them, they all learn to fear it. Use this. Create defenses they haven't encountered before. They adapt quickly, but there's always a window before adaptation, a moment of vulnerability. I think the door is gone now. I can't see it anymore. Just darkness where it should be, and in that darkness movement, shapes that make no anatomical sense, limbs bending in impossible directions, and eyes, so many eyes, they've grown eyes now, watching me. I'm going to attempt something desperate. There's a fire suppression system in this room. If I can activate it, the sudden noise, the alarm, the spray of water, it might disorient them long enough for me to reach the emergency exit. It's a long shot, probably suicide, but I'm out of options. If anyone receives this transmission, if there's anyone still alive to hear these words, remember what I've told you. Move silently, trust nothing you hear. Reach the dam if you can, and if you see something that looks human but moves wrong, sounds wrong, run. Don't look back. Don't make a sound, just run. I'm going to activate the suppression system now. If I survive, I'll try to broadcast again from a secure location. If not, may God help us all. Wait, something's happening. The shapes in the doorway, they're retreating, moving back, like they're afraid. I don't understand. They had me, would they? Whoa, oh no, there's something behind me. I can feel it. Cold air on the back of my neck. Breathing. I didn't notice. I was so focused on the door, I didn't realize. They weren't trying to get in. They were hurting me, keeping me distracted while something else. It's right behind me now. I can feel its presence, cold, so cold. Don't make a sound. Don't move. Don't. I think it's touching my hair, just gently. Almost curious. I'm going to try something. There's a pencil on the desk. If I can reach it, write a message. Maybe somebody will find it. Maybe you'll know what happened here. It's mimicking me now. Moving when I move. Stopping when I stop. Learning my patterns. The pencil. Almost. Got it. If anyone finds this, if anyone is still alive, they're not just hunting sound anymore. They're hunting us. They're becoming us. No, please,
It takes a lot of time to create these videos. I would really appreciate your support. All I ask for is a quick like on the video and subscribe. Thank you so much.